In the year 2065, Earth was attacked by a hostile alien race, the Strogg. Millions were killed. Our response? War. You must take the fight to the enemy's homeworld. Only then will the fate of humanity be known. Developed by id Software in '97, Quake II is a critically acclaimed first-person shooter that introduces an entirely new science fiction narrative and setting to the franchise. Experience the authentic and complete version of the legendary military sci-fi first-person shooter enhanced for modern platforms. Enjoy the original authentic version of Quake II, now enhanced up to 4K and widescreen resolutions. Enhanced models, improved lighting and gore, improved and restored AI behaviors, enhanced cinematics, dynamic and colored lighting, anti-aliasing, depth of field, and the original rock soundtrack by Sonic Mayhem. Go beyond Quake II with the original mission packs, The Reckoning and Ground Zero, as well as Call of the Machine, a brand new full-length Quake II experience from MachineGames. In addition, every level from Nintendo's classic Quake II 64 is included. Fight the hostile Strogg in 4-player online or split-screen co-op, and compete in pure retro-style combat with support for 16 online players and 8 local split-screen players. Enjoy cross-play support across all platforms, as well as bot integration for both online and offline deathmatch and team deathmatch modes. Okay. So that's the official press release and all of the main points that Bethesda has been hitting on the new Quake II remaster that has just hit store shelves. That does not even begin to scrape the surface on what is on offer here. This is the quintessential remastering. And yes, it's Quake II, not its strongest game, but definitely the bar that pretty much anybody attempting to remaster a game from this era will likely have to cross from this point forward. As awesome as this remaster is, it does not compare to the absolute important move that id Software has made here by including something called the id Vault. id Software went back and found any scraps of development material that they could find to scan and archive within this build. This game contains previously unseen development notes, concept sketches, concept art, and playable beta levels from different shows. The levels that were playable on the E3 1997 show floor are playable in this build. They have not been seen since E3 1997. Videos of early builds being played, all early and unused models available to be viewed. The id Vault is setting a precedent for archival content within the video game medium. Please, developers, archive your stuff. Not only does Quake II have enhanced models and lighting and all that stuff, but it also reintroduces cut content all over the place. The new Call of the Machine, it's the best thing I have ever played using the Quake II engine and could be sold as its own product. The multiplayer is far more robust than even this press release is stating. Almost every single map id Software ever made for Quake II is on offer here. All of the multiplayer maps from Quake II 64, Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, and Capture the Flag are on offer here. First of all, Quake II, what can I tell you? It's a divisive game. It's not id's best game. I'll just tell you how they sold it to people on the back of the box. You have a series of complex missions. What you do in one level could affect another. One false move and you could alert security, flood an entire passageway, or worse. This time the enemies have IQs the size of their appetites. They can evade your attacks, strategically position themselves for an ambush, and hunt your ass down. Hear distant combat explosions and rockets whizzing past your head, and with a compatible 3D accelerator, experience smoother 16-bit graphics and real-time lighting effects. More than 32-player multiplayer. Friends and foes can go at it in a bloody deathmatch via LAN or over the internet. I bet you noticed something there. We'll talk about it. Quake II is fine. Quake II on offer here is a refined version of the game. A lot has been sanded down. We're dealing with an item wheel and a weapon wheel. The item wheel is a godsend. Quake II has an inventory system, and up until now, you used 2 buttons to scroll between the different items you had in your inventory and enter to activate. Now, it's the push of a button. It's an item wheel. It is so much better. More information is given to the player through the HUD and the computer menu screen. They're telling the truth when they say that enemy AI behaviors have been enhanced and re-enabled. I played everything on hard, and while I was experiencing this game, I noticed that the AI was acting a bit different than what I was used to. What happened is that when Ground Zero, the better of the two expansions, released, the AI was moved up a bit more to be a bit more difficult for players that were used to Quake II up until this point. The AI was better, and it was possible to actually play everything else using this enhanced Quake II Ground Zero AI with a few console commands. Now, it is on by default. Enemies are going to duck and cover far more frequently. Enemies are going to fire around corners when they've last seen you. Many unused animations for both death and stun are here, and nightmare difficulty, something that has only been hidden behind a console command, is here by default. They didn't just enhance the cinematics, they remade them from scratch using the original assets. These are complete and total re-renders, night and day better, and they went so far as to re-render even the expansion pack cinematics. Quake II is long and winding. It was long and winding by design, as it was one of the first unbroken, technically, narratives within a first-person shooter, at least within the different units. The compass is a temporary 3D waypoint that will show itself upon activation, so that when you get lost, you can quickly get back to the main objective. Out of everything, I give Quake II an 8 out of 10. Quake II The Reckoning is trash. The first expansion pack made by Xatrix Entertainment, the same studio behind things like Redneck Rampage and Kingpin. This one predominantly takes place, I guess, in more Quake II space stations with lots and lots of lasers. There is so much backtracking and runaround. This goes on for far too long, and, you know, it's nothing against the remaster itself. They're presenting these levels as they were in 1998. They're just not very good. So many of the secrets in this one, by the way, are just jump on top of boxes. Try your best to jump on top of some boxes. 4 out of 10. Quake II Ground Zero, on the other hand, is better than Quake II regular. Quake II Ground Zero was made by Rogue Entertainment, the same people behind Strife, the Doom Engine RPG, and American McGee's Alice, so in good hands. This takes place in some mines. This actually has some incredibly varied landscapes for 1998. The brand new weapons that were introduced within this pack are fantastic. The Tesla mine, oh, I love it so much. This is a very firm but fair difficulty, unlike The Reckoning, which used a lot of very difficult enemies to pad out its short gameplay. Ground Zero is the perfect length, and it's just firm but fair. Until the boss, but, you know. I would say that if you have arachnophobia, Ground Zero is not for you. I give Ground Zero a 9 out of 10. Quake II 64 was done by Midway Games, the same team that did Doom 64 and Quake I 64. Doom 64 was well received because it was an entirely new game for the Nintendo 64 using the id Software property. Quake I received some backlash by reviewers due to it effectively being the exact same game, just cut down to fit on the N64. So Quake II is an entirely different game. It uses some geometry from some of the levels from both Quake II and its expansions, but it is an entirely different game. It's a short one, around an hour and a half, and it looks like it runs on an N64, but some caveats are at play here. This is something that has never been brought anywhere other than the Nintendo 64, and this is something that a lot of people didn't even realize was an entirely unique experience. Quake II 64 runs on the Quake I engine. There was no way they were going to get Quake II running in any capacity on the Nintendo 64. So these are individual levels. These are very small individual levels. And unfortunately, the developers of this remaster did not adjust the weapons and enemies to fit Quake II 64, as not only does everything look slightly different in the original game, but enemies act differently, weapons act differently. Instead, we're playing the same maps, yes, but they're using the retail Quake II entities, so it plays quite different. It's still great. I love that it's being archived here. It's just not accurate to the original product. 7 out of 10. Okay, now it's time to talk about Call of the Machine. This is worth price of admission. This is absolutely incredible. This is a 10 out of 10 experience. This is a full-length game. This is just as long, if not longer, than Quake II. Quake II, for those that are unaware, does not separate its experience in individual levels. Instead, you have larger units that contain multiple levels, and each unit kind of backtracks in on itself. Call of the Machine is 7 units long. 6 of them are accessed by a spaceship in any order you like. Each of those units are self-contained, meaning you're effectively playing a different Marine being sent to a different location to retrieve a data disk to send back to the spaceship to then find the location of the mother of all Strogg, the creator of the Strogg, to then defeat. Really cool premise, really great presentation. Each of these units are entirely unique in and of themselves, all using different texture sets, different atmosphere, different level design, and were likely made by different people, and it's incredible. You start on something that looks like Quake II, but taking advantage of modern hardware and the updated engine, and you go all over the place. I don't want to spoil it, but this is absolutely worth your time. Because they're utilizing newer technology and better computers, they're packing in hundreds of enemies at a time. It's so good. The secrets are so well placed. The level design is incredible. Quake II is a meh kind of game for a lot of people. Call of the Machine could be released on its own and be highly, highly regarded as a great experience. As for multiplayer, I didn't get much time to play it, but it's Quake II multiplayer, one of the most important online multiplayer games in the formative years of the computer. Quake II is what inspired them to make Quake III multiplayer only, and what we're dealing with here is a great experience. Quake II, however, supported 32 players on launch, and following a patch, up to 64 concurrent players in a server. id Software released many different maps on their own FTP server over the years of development. Both 32 and 64 players are not currently supported. Almost none of the FTP maps are actually within this build, and although I didn't spend a whole lot of time in this because, well, no one's really playing right now, it's still very much worth your time. It's Quake II Deathmatch, it's Quake II Capture the Flag. It's one of the best arena shooters that then led to the best arena shooter. So what's missing? Well, as stated, some of the multiplayer modes and maps are not here. The secret level for Quake II 64 was not ported over. Some unofficial expansions, such as Zero and Unseen, are not here, and in fact, there is no add-ons category within the main menu. There are definitely add-ons worth using here, such as Citadel or Earth, or again, Zero or Unseen. Author names for the creators of these maps, again, not here. And lastly, tools. It would be great to be able to see people create their own levels using these assets, these entities, and obviously the tool sets that they have created for the Kex engine. I've uploaded gameplay of every piece of playable content within this game. This last week has been absolutely insane. The cut content id Vault exploration video should be out very, very soon. If you like this kind of content, please consider supporting me on Patreon or Floatplane, or just join the Discord server or watch my live streams on twitch.tv/Tyler McVicker. And I really hope you're having a great day. I'm Tyler McVicker, the Passionate Gamer, and I'll talk to you later. Adios.